Hi. Now, you might find this a bit strange, but I'm here to tell you that there's only one football club in the country that everyone should follow. No, it's not Melbourne, it's not Carlton or North Melbourne, and it's not even the Swans. It's the club that's kicked more goals than any other.
Hasn't missed many in his entire career, and that kick is a goal.
It's the Australian Football Video Club.
There's Weston again with a hand pass, coming over to Watson. This could be another goal, it is!
It's the only club that gives fans everywhere exactly what they're after. Hours and hours of your team in action.
It clears the pack. Here's Grant. He's shoved over. Now turning free. Onto the foot goes free. Oh, he's kicked a great goal.
Fantastic footage of football's favourite sons.
It races there, gets it to Bartlett. Bartlett Tillman is out running into Richmond.
The would-bees, the could-bees, the has-beens, the could-have-beens, the yippee-beens. What a character. What a character. One-man band down there. It's all here and much, much more when you join the greatest club of all, the Australian Football Video Club. There's no joining fee, and you can get your first video for $20 if you join right now. Check the details on the catalogue that's with this video, or call 1800 035 665 now. The Australian Football Video Club. It's a ripper.
They aren't all big men. And they aren't all bad men. But they are all wild men. Meet the wild men of footy in this behind-the-scenes eye-opener, out now on video. Footy's wild men on video, from Captain Blood to Tony Lockett. And not a whim in sight. Get yours at these stores now.
There is about the game of football something that touches every beating heart. And there is something for every Australian man, woman and child in this living video history. 100 years of Australian football on video. It's yours to keep forever at these stores now.
Well, it'd be fair to say one thing that has amazed me over the years is that how his body fat has remained so low considering his diet.
He's very partial to a certain brand of fried chicken, which has something to do with a gentleman known as the Colonel.
He actually was given a Saab, and I believe he was went in after the season for an appointment in the city of some nature. Left his car, happened to have a few drinks that particular night, left his car there for a couple of days, and as a result the city of Melbourne towed it away. Contacted Saab to say, whose is this car? Saab said, well, it's ours. You know, it was, we did give it to Stephen Kernahan, but we'll come and reclaim the car. They did that, and it was full of Kentucky Fried Chicken bones.
Well, his diet is a disgrace as well.
There was a time a number of years ago when the ground was in a very bad state, so they had us training over at the showgrounds in the middle of winter, which meant driving back down Racecourse Road to do our weights back here at the football club. And if you know Melbourne, then Racecourse Road's got a number of takeaway food outlets on it, and one of those is got the Golden Arches up there. And
I couldn't believe I nearly ran into the back of the tram, actually, because I looked into the McDonald's and I was going fast and there was sticks in his...
Entire football gear, jumper, shorts, socks, boots, obviously buying a particular brand of hamburger. But what amazed us was there was probably some little kid serving behind the counter that thought that this is how Stephen Kernahan always got around.
His style is somewhere between the wildly extroverted Mr. Football Ted Whitten and the distinguished and almost regal bearing of King Richard, Dick Reynolds. In 1997, Stephen Kernahan is poised to overtake both these legends of the game and become the longest-serving captain in 100 years of league football. He has twice captained Carlton to the AFL Premiership, and in 12 seasons with the Blues has been the skipper for 11 of them.
I think right from the moment he arrived, there was a maturity about Stephen Kernahan on and off the field that just oozed from the man.
He can be one of the boys, but there's always been that line with Stephen because of his ability and his attitude towards his football, that people have always respected him as a person and a footballer.
Well, footy's been played for a long time, so to become the longest serving captain in the history of the game, you know, really is a fantastic effort, and it just really is a credit to his leadership abilities.
As a skipper, I'd relate back to the 1995 grand final, and every time Carlton kicked the ball, he'd run up, you know, into the middle or the centre of the ground and just wanted the guys and just revved them up. It was just inspirational. I think that was part of probably why Carlton won the game so easily.
He leads by example, and he's done it all.
Even at this later stage of his career, probably sides go in playing Carlton knowing that they really do still have to stop Kernahan to stop Carlton kicking a winning score.
I've always said that, you know, a long time before people sort of thought I was joking when I said that he was the equal to John Nichols, if not better. And I think that his record speaks for himself. I think he's been fantastic for the Blues.
Others have been credited for appointing Steve Kernahan as captain of Carlton in February 1987, but it's common knowledge that one man, and one man alone, made the bold move. The coach, Robert Walls.
There are a lot of people who felt that he hadn't earned it. He'd only been there for the 1 year, but I thought that he was the player who should be captain. Admittedly, he'd only had the one season, but there were a lot of Carlton players at that time. You know, McClure had retired. Johnson was in his last year or two. Players like Kenny Hunter and Ken Sheldon and Jimmy Buckley were getting near the end, and I thought it was time for a new face, and he's just a great football person. And I think any doubters, it didn't take long, maybe half a dozen games before they realised that, hey, this was the fella who should be leading the Blues.
Well, I nearly fell over, really. In fact, he rang me a couple of days beforehand and said, the thing that I could be captain of the club, and I said, well, fair enough. Who said that? And he said, well, it's just a bit of general talk around the club that they would like to appoint me as captain. And I said, well, if they do, that's their business. But I did not think that a club of Carlton's ilk would appoint particularly a South Australian after 12 months in the AFL. I guess I didn't take any notice of it. I mean, I'm just happy to get a game. 86 was, you know, not an okay year. Was finding my feet and probably had to get bigger in the pre-season, which I did. And you just worry about getting a game, and let alone, you know, the papers started suggesting that maybe I was one of the candidates with, say, Justin and Kenny Hunter and blokes like that. And, you know, look, I didn't pay any attention to it. I didn't even worry about it until got a call from Lofsy one day. Said, you'll, you know, come in tonight, we need to see you, and there it was.
The decision to anoint Stephen Kernahan to the position as leader of one of Australia's most famous football clubs after only 24 games was one of the most controversial in years. It would prove to be a stroke of genius as Sticks produced a vintage performance for the Blues. As his dad Harry would point out, it was a year to savour.
The first premiership in 87 was magnificent because after all it was his first year as captain of the club. I think he won the best and fairest the same year, and that's a pretty unique issue where a premiership captain wins a club's best and fairest, and that's something in his record that he should treasure and never forget.
Barnes flying from behind. Hanna is there to tidy up for Carlton. He's got time to have a look down to the Kernahan area again. Again, he almost gives a nudge. Williams is there. Well done. Kernahan off the ground. Carlton are away again.
There is no doubting Stephen Kernahan's right to be included amongst the great leaders in Australian football. Given a little luck, he should become the longest-serving leader ever sometime in 1997. But what makes him the leader he is? What sets him apart? Let's ask the men who coached him. Graham Corns at Glenelg.
He can be one of the boys, but there's always been that line with Stephen because of his ability and his attitude towards his football, that people have always respected him as a person and a footballer. He's one of those people who just command respect. He doesn't necessarily even have to earn the respect because he's already done that. His presence and the way he goes about playing the game of football and conducting himself off the footy ground commands respect.
I think he treats everybody as an equal, you know, from the youngest player in the club to the most experienced. He treats everyone the same. He's got a feel and a touch for people. He respects football clubs and the people who were there, both on and off the field, and as a result, everyone just loves him.
He just does whatever you ask him to do, and he's a great asset to a coach. And as I said, the captain at Carlton is probably more important than the coach, because the boys bind closer to the captain than they do to any other person, and he's kept them together.
I saw him as a young kid playing in a final. I first saw him, might have been in 1980, playing for the seconds at Glenelg, I think, on the new footy park. And he was a skinny kid, and he came over, and I know he was nominated Sticks very, very early, this skinny frame kid, and I thought, well, gee, if he can survive the rigours of VFL, AFL, I'm a Dutchman's uncle.
He is already Carlton's longest-serving captain. In 1997, he is set to become the club's greatest goal kicker. Only 2 Carlton players have kicked 500 goals. In 1997, Stephen Kernahan will overtake Harry Soapy Valance. Soapy kicked 722. Kernahan began this season with 715.
Julio's clear, heads up towards Kernahan. Through their skipper, Steve Kernahan. He's kicked 3 so far. Oh, there's your steady up. Now he's booted 4.
14th on the all-time league goal-kicking list, Kernahan had kicked 7 or more goals on 16 occasions. In final, Sticks has kicked 65 goals in 18 games. Coventry, Dunstall, Titus and Lee Matthews are the only players to have kicked more.
Little kick off the ground, Rhys Jones, Kernahan, can he get his 7th goal? He's got it, he's kicked it. Miraculous stuff by the captain.
The key to Kernahan's value at Carlton, though, has been his consistency. 3 goals a week average over 11 seasons on end. 11 consecutive years as the club's leading goal kicker, a record equalled by Jason Dunstall and bettered only by Billy Moore of St Kilda and Gordon Coventry of Collingwood. The 1993 AFL second semi-final, 59,000 at Waverley for the match between Carlton and Adelaide. The opposing skippers, Kernahan and McDermott.
We sort of rehearsed it before the week. We all spoke to each other on the phone, and you know, I've got to say, I hope I don't stop laughing. You see this rough-headed, scarred head coming over at you that you've known for 20-odd years.
Who could have ever believed that these 2 boyhood friends would become bitter rivals on that September day, both driven by the greatest sporting desire of all, to lead their side into an AFL Grand Final. McDermott and Kernahan, who share the closest bond of any 2 blokes in league football, toe-to-toe.
We were playing under-10s together, so we've been good mates since we were 7 or 8, and went to school together. We played in every game together. We made our league debuts together.
We played under-10 footy together at Glenelg, and I don't have much of a recollection of those days, but I do when I was playing. I used to play cricket against Paringa Park Primary, where Steve went to school, and I was at Seacliff, and the word had filtered through the under-8 ranks that there was this demon fast bowler at Paringa Park Primary that was pretty quick and putting the fear of God through everybody, and it happened to be Stephen. And we played one day at Seacliff Primary School, and Julie took a hat-trick, and I came in to face the double hat-trick. And, well, I survived, but got out pretty soon afterwards. And for those people that have seen young Adams bowl from South Africa, they call him a frog in the blender, the way he bowls. Well, Stephen was like 2 frogs in the blender because he had arms and legs going everywhere, but he was pretty slippery in his day, and he reminds me about that quite regularly.
The 3rd man on the ground that day in this unlikely trio was the former Footscray captain and Crow rover, Tony McGuinness.
Every week for 5 years, 52 weeks a year, at the Bay Disco, there's a different story out of that every night, but probably none that I can tell you on camera. The early days when we first started playing senior footy, I was a year younger than Stephen and Chris, and I sort of tagged along with them, and we used to end up going to the Bay Motel Hotel every night after a game to have schnitzel and pints. And they were great nights, just the 3 of us together after a game. The Sitmar cruise on on the Fair Star in 1983. Backline, McDermott, McGuinness, Kernahan, Motlop, Maynard, Simons. Solid backline. And just mayhem for about 8 or 9 days. Stephen had a good trip.
Glenelg was in the blood. Harry Kernahan had played 179 games and 13 for South Australia. He was a member of the club's 73 premiership side. The family lived and breathed yellow and black. There was no greater hero for the three Kernahan boys than Peter Carey.
Carey in front marks the ball.
You know, it's funny, you watch a player who becomes, on your duffel coat in those days. You used to go to Glenelg and watch games, and I'd have Peter Carey on my back and that sort of thing. And, you end up, playing a lot of footy with him and becoming best friends with him. So, he played with, around when Dad was finishing, he was just starting. And I'll never forget in '73 in the cheer squad watching him kick 6 grand final day and be best on ground.
McGuinness puts his hand on the ball, gives the handball out to Hall. Hall to McGuinness, quickly onto his boot and into the square, and Kernahan in the front position.
McGuinness, McDermott and Kernahan would play a remarkable part in the rise of Glenelg from their debuts in 1981. In '82, McGuinness, then 18, polled 44 votes to become the youngest winner of the Magarey medal. In '83, it was Kernahan's turn to create history. He too polled 44 votes, but the medal would not be his. For the first time ever, the vote leader was denied the honour because of a suspension during the season.
We didn't make the finals that year, for the first time in a few years, so we had September off, and it was always, I gather it was held about the last week before the final, so we were in drinking and relaxing mode, and I remember knocking off work early at the Stock Exchange and meeting McDermott and McGuinness, and we'd charged into a few schooners, as they're called, over in Adelaide beforehand, and we went to the old line and had a great night, had a few beers and sat at the table, and I guess halfway during the night it became, well, increasingly aware that, I might win it by a fair bit. So, look, we just sat there and it unfolded as it did. The main worry is my old man not knocking out the umpire who fixed me up for that 1-game suspension.
Kernahan's Glenelg record had VFL talent scouts drooling. Leading goal kicker in '83 and '84, best and fairest in '83, '84 and '85. The Foss Williams medal is South Australia's best in '84 against Victoria when he kicked 10-1 in a losing side. All-Australian selection in '85 and then the big one, the '85 Grand Final. Glenelg, coached by Graham Corns and led by Peter Carey, against North Adelaide. 50,000 saw Kernahan kick 7 in Glenelg's 57-point win. They saw him take the Jack Oatey medal as best on ground, and they can say that they saw him play his last game in the SANFL.
Surrounded by North Adelaide defenders, the mark for which he is renowned, being put round on an angle, but will be able to better that slightly if need be. He's only 2 metres out, shouldn't miss. 65 goals for the season to date. That makes it 66, and the Mays fight back. Wobbles one towards that player, out comes Kernahan. Kernahan 30 metres out, gets round and shoots and looks home. Oh, what a goal, Stephen Kernahan.
That's his 15th kick, in fact. He's gone to centre half forward. Kernahan will hit that. I'm not sure what David Wheeldie was trying to do there, but it didn't look too flash. I think he's a bit frustrated. I think Kernahan's got on top of him. Well, it missed the first time, and I've got a feeling that he came up with 2 others that were a bit silly. I think that sign says it all as Kernahan lines up and splits the centre. 4 goals, Kernahan. The second quarter, Glenelg at the 14th minute of the third. They're 5 up. It's a big turnaround. Kernahan just gave him one back. And he gave a big one back too.
David Marshall, the long kick to the half-forward line. Kernahan! Oh, what a mark! Number 10, Kernahan at his best. At this set, oh, what a beautiful mark.
puts it long into the square. Kernahan behind. Oh, supreme mark. No one there to stop his run at all. And he will now boot his 7th goal. It's been an all-consuming performance today by Kernahan. 7 goals, 3 to the champion half-forward, 20 goals there.
Of the Jack Oatey medal for best man on the ground today was Stephen Kernahan. It was about in the middle of that second quarter when you started to grab a few. You were down by 29 points. It wasn't looking good for a while there.
No, well, we started getting the ball on. We fiddled around a lot, and our forward lines opened up, and Elite Garts and Coppo got a couple of goals, and everything just started firing from there. And our third quarter was absolutely superb, I thought.
Yeah, third quarter into the breeze. When did you think you actually had it run? What did Graham say to you at three-quarter time?
Three-quarter time, well, you know, we had just kicked 6 into that wind, and he told us North can do that easily. But you know, we stuck to our guns in the last quarter. We played it out right to the end, and you know, we got our just rewards.
You know what you did, you rotten bugger? You showed everybody in the eastern states how well you can play. Now, how are we going to keep in South Australia now?
I don't know, Dave. I'll celebrate for a while. I won't about that later.
Stephen, congratulations. A fine performance. Well done. Who else we got?
I certainly remember his game. You know, another game that he had an enormous influence in. Remember him getting a little bit aggro in that game when David Wildy gave him a clip under the ears, and doesn't often retaliate, although I must admit in his older age he's got a bit more aggro, but in this particular game I think he was sick of the treatment that he'd got from David Wildy and gave him a good clip under the ears back. But just played another sensational game, and was, you know, I don't think he won the game by himself, but certainly was instrumental in our win.
I think deep down inside, once Glenelg had won the premiership, he felt he could go with a clear conscience, and we were hopefully we'd keep him at the end of 85, but realistically he was going to go, and as I said, that virtually opened the doors for most of the other bright young players to go as well.
The pencil-thin Kernahan of the mid-80s is a far cry from the powerfully built key forward of modern days. He recalls the pressure he and his teammates put on the coach in those days.
There's a few of us younger blokes who didn't mind a drink and, you know, got into a bit of strife off the field, and he really put the finishing touches on a side that probably should have won a grand final before then, and he, you know, put the touch on us and ended up winning 85, and they won it again in 86.
They were my greatest headache. They weren't the only ones, because you had guys like Tony Simons and Tony Hall and Michael Murphy and other guys who just escape me at the moment. And they were young and wild, and the Glenelg Disco was the perfect example. And several times I'd be in bed on the Sunday night and Monday morning, 12:30 a.m. the phone would go, and it was the manager of the Glenelg Disco say, "Look, Graham, got a problem with some of the boys. Do you think you can come down and just have a chat to them?" So go down and try and talk sense to these young men who were rampaging through the Glenelg Disco as though it was their own territory. But they all survived it. And they will look back and they had a great time, regardless of what sort of mayhem was created around them. And I think an important part of their growing up was the great times they had together, and maybe the damage they did together, but they grow out of that, they mature, and you see the evidence of that. They're all leaders of AFL clubs, great leaders of AFL clubs.
In the late 70s, Carlton President George Harris and General Manager Keith McKenzie had sent young recruiter Shane O'Sullivan on Mission Impossible.
When I first started here in '79, Keith and Wes said to me, "We've got to find the next Royce Hart," and I can remember going and watch the schoolboys over in Perth, if my memory is correct. And I come back and said to Macca that, look, I reckon I've found one, but I said there's only one problem. His father's the general manager of the Glenelg Footy Club, and I said I'll pass it over to you, Caper, and you know, Keith got on the phone to me.
Yeah, I got on to Harry, and Harry, he's a fantastic bloke, just like his son. And I knew I had a problem on my hands because being general manager of Carlton and him general manager of Glenelg, that we knew which way we were going to be and what have you. And Harry received it quite well. Hated Victorians, but was a fantastic bloke. And really, I knew that there was something special out of the whole lot.
In one audacious bid, Carlton decided to use their trump card, the flying doormat, Bruce Dool. The Blues hierarchy knew that Dool was Kernahan's idol. The only problem was that Bruce was not known to engage in lengthy telephone conversations.
You know, I can remember getting Bruce Dool to ring him up and talk to him about how good Carlton was and things like that.
Carlton trying to woo Stephen into making up his mind, and it was some conversation that lasted for about 5 minutes, and I think Stephen said 4 words, and I know Bruce Dool doesn't speak much, so it must have been a terrific bloody conversation, that one. Yeah, I thought it was a joke. I think the old man, Dad answered the phone, and it's Bruce Dool on the phone. I said, "Oh, yeah, McDermott, is it?" And it was Bruce. So we'd love to have you over. That was about it. But I appreciate it. I know how hard it would have been for Bruce Dool to give this unknown idiot a ring in Adelaide, and it would have taken a lot for Bruce to do that, I'm sure.
After Glenelg's win in 1985, there was never any doubt that Kernahan would leave South Australia for Princes Park and the Carlton Football Club.
I thought in 85, win, lose or draw that grand final, I'd probably have to go. I'd played 136 league games and had good experience, and I was 22 and I was ready to go. So, I thought that was, to win it, it just panned out beautifully that I could go out on a good note and feel like I'd done what I wanted to do there at Glenelg and move on and see if I could make it in the big stuff. Stephen wasn't quite ready at the tender age of 16, 17, 18 to go to Melbourne and play in the hurly-burly of AFL football. He'd grown very rapidly. He hadn't developed, muscular-wise, and that's a pretty heavy scene to get into in the AFL. And I think now that we look back over that period of time and the decisions that were taken, it probably proved correct, even though he didn't play his first game until after he was 21.
In possibly the last genuine recruiting coup in modern football, Carlton moved to Melbourne 3 1985 All-Australian players: Craig Bradley, Peter Motley and Steve Kernahan.
I think I was a part of the little posse that went to convince him to come. I think we signed him as early as 81 or 82. It might have been even 81. And of course I waited for the next 4 years in the hope that he would come along and provide us with just a bit of spark. And the tragedy was I got the sack before I was unloaded, before I had the chance. I think the year after, not only to pick up sticks, but Braddles and Dorotich and Motley and a terrific group of players that were coming soon after. So I was pretty disappointed about the whole show.
Could there be a more demanding first-up test in league football in the 80s than to play Hawthorn? For Steve Kernahan, his first outing in the number 4 navy blue Guernsey with Carlton was to be memorable. The game had barely started when rookie Mill Hanna went down with a knee injury. His fledgling career on hold for a year.
I was pretty excited playing my first game and amongst sort of pretty elite company, and within 5 minutes it was all over. But I suppose looking back now, I'm sort of pretty privileged to have played with players like Steve Kernahan.
Kernahan kicked 2 in that first game, a loss by the way, but the big name had not let his teammates down.
And up to that one, as we see Steve Kernahan into the open goal. Is that his first goal in league football? It is to the ex-Glenelg champ, and he puts it through, and Carlton are on fire.
There you go, Byrne and Madden. And
Johnny Blatton's in there.
In the meantime, McClure gives it across to Kernahan and he goals! Well, I wish they'd stop brawling in front of us.
I suppose, being young at the time he came over, I know that playing around the Carlton Footy Club, there was a lot of talk about Stephen Kernahan coming to Carlton. I know Carlton people were waiting for him for a number of years, and when he came to Carlton, he proved everything that he was supposed to be, a great player, and he's a champion bloke.
Able to Shine. He's got the job of tagging Williams. The kick by Shine is over the centre half forward position. The back is Kernahan. He had that all the way. As soon as it left Shine's boot, there was
Meldrum has it fisted away, but straight down to Hunter. Danger again, up towards Kernahan. Ralph is waiting at the back. Kernahan, the flyer, and he's got it.
Well, there's no doubt about that one, Sandy.
It's a great mark.
An excellent mark by Stephen Kernahan.
Bradley's there. His hand pass to Marcoux. Marcoux can't accept it. It could have been a free kick there to Cleve. The umpire calls play on. Hand pass comes out to Kernahan. He shoots toward goal. He's got another one. So Stephen Kernahan has kicked his 3rd goal now for Carlton.
Everyone was expecting, like you said, Steve, a superstar to come over. We probably expecting a bit of a big-headed in a way to come over, all, you know, sort of arrogance and everything, but Sticks came over with a magnificent sort of attitude, level-headed, just blended in beautifully and at the time knew what sort of club we were. We were a very together club, and he was absolutely one of the boys.
Back it comes, a chance for Peter Moore, who's now playing on the ball. Oh, taken away by Marcoux. A beautiful hand pass to Kernahan. He straightens up. Is this his fourth? Yes, it is. It's a goal. 4 goals, Steve Kernahan.
They do the shepherding. Reese does it effectively. McClure keeps it in play. Goes over the top to Bradley. Give it across to Kernahan. The Glenelg boys are in business. To Bernie Evans. They might muck it up. No! Kernahan's done it. Great play by Bradley, Evans, Kernahan, and Carlton have their first on the board.
Well, yeah, it's a huge leap. I mean, we had a good league in Adelaide at the time, and I mean, as evidenced by probably our state matches, our best 20 players were probably as good as the Victorians' best 20 in those days. Obviously, the depth of players and the size and strength was totally different to our game, and you know, one thing I had to do when playing centre forward, I was 86 kilo when I got over here, and when you're up against Glendinnings and Phillips and Langfords and, you know, Mickey Martin eventually, and these sort of players, I mean, you know, 86 kilo, you know, some of our half forwards are that today, so.
The Carlton team of 1986 blooded a string of quality recruits. Kernahan was joined by John Dorotich, who would finish 7th in the Brownlow medal.
Madden's kicks high, it's into the half-forward zone. Mossop tries for a position, can't find one. Meldrum beaten on that occasion. It's tapped back to Meldrum. He goes with the left foot. He's got it.
Craig Bradley would share the best and fairest with Wayne Johnston.
Hand pass coming out beautifully from Kenny to Bradley, and look at him go at it there at half-full. He's got a paddock to run in. He takes full advantage. This could be a goal coming up. No, a hand pass to Albert. He fires at the goals, and what's he done with it? He's put it through for a goal.
Bernie Evans crossed from Sydney.
He made a mistake there. A hand pass comes up, and it's a chance for Carlton through Evans to go forward. A well-placed kick and a good mark taken by Blackwell.
Peter Motley was already a dual All-Australian.
To get anywhere near Carlton, Motley at right half-back flank. Dwyer. Evans gets it back to Reece Jones. The handball is on to Bradley. Back it comes to Blackwell. Out to Kenny. Kernahan in the forward pocket. Carlton doing as they like virtually. Kernahan shoots it goal and puts it through for another one.
That was my first year as coach at Carlton, and I was introduced to Stephen Kernahan, Craig Bradley and Peter Motley from Adelaide, and there was John Dorotich from Western Australia, and Mill Hanna was a young up-and-comer just ready to blossom, so there was just an influx of terrific talent all in the one burst.
It was a new-look Carlton team. Walls as the new coach, Mark McClure the new captain. The best body of players any recruiting officers could dream to assemble. And at the helm, a genuine champion in Kernahan with terrific desire.
There's a chance now for Kernahan. Into the open goals he travels and puts another one on the board for Carlton.
He came over, the expectations were high. Everybody knew that he'd be a very good player. He was really hard on himself. He credited himself very hard, always thought that his games were 4 or 5 out of 10 when I thought it was more like a 6, 7 or 8. He lacked a bit of strength, and he really worked hard in the gym. He realised that he had to get bigger and stronger, so he did that. And of course in 87, his second year, he was appointed captain at Carlton.
Carlton finished the home and away series in 3rd place in 1986, behind Hawthorn and Sydney. 2 games clear of Fitzroy and 3 clear of the defending premiers Essendon. After beating Sydney on the first Sunday of the finals, it was Hawthorn for the 3rd time for the 86 season. The Blues looking for the breakthrough win. The Hawks boasting the likes of Brereton, Tuck, Ayres, New, Robertson, Green and Wallace, all premiership veterans. The Hawks, older, taller, more experienced by some 40 games per man on average, and in finals by some 6 finals per man. The cocky, strutting Brereton, again the man to watch. Kernahan, with 13 kicks, 8 marks and 2 goals, was named best on ground in a particularly tough and bruising encounter. In front of 62,000 people at Waverley, the Blues would advance to the grand final.
Yeah, I think 86 was a year that everyone had hoped Carlton would take that extra step, and with all the new recruits coming over and that, and I think to make the grand final that would have pleased them a lot, but to finish the way we did, you know, to get flogged by Hawthorn, who were a pretty good side, you know, it's pretty disappointing. So, I mean, you know, Carlton, when you get to grand finals, they've got a, you know, history says that they win a lot of them.
First quarter of the 1986 VFL Grand Final. It's between Carlton and Hawthorn.
The unlucky Silvani and the suspended Fraser Murphy made way for Blackwell and Kenny Hunter on grand final day as 101,000 packed the G.
Back to centre wing. Dorotich and Brereton tangle. English, Curran, Platten. Platten at centre field. Lovely balk to get around Madden. The two number 44s. Dunstall leads out just a little bit too far from Gould. And the flying doormat sees the ball and his opponent safely over the boundary line.
Kernahan had a lean day. Deere was reported for striking him in the first quarter.
Fumbled, but recovered okay. Kernahan right on his tail. Oh, Kernahan copped a heavy one from Deere, and the umpire spotted it. And he's going to take the book out, I would say, and report him. Well, so he should, because he reported Rhys Jones. Fair's fair.
Foolish play.
Foolish play. Let's watch it again, Bob.
We'll watch on replay.
Yes, that's an elbow, isn't it?
Langford was disciplined and clearly outpointed the young blue.
Langford in left back pocket. He looked for a pass, either by foot or hand. He's gone with the foot. Curran takes the mark. Back to that same player. Langford. Wallace running at left centre wing. Reid, one of the veterans on the Hawthorn side. Not a good pass, but it does find Brereton. Back to Reid. Have to get rid of this quickly. Hooks the Buckenara. Buckenara marks and plays on 50 metres out. He'll just about kick this. It's long. It's just about there. It has gone through, I think. It's a goal.
Kernahan kept to 2 goals, kicked in the last quarter.
There's the kick. McClure at the back. Kernahan's there too, and he's grabbed the mark. Well, Bradley's had a bad day, and this fella hasn't been too hot either, Kernahan. There's the kick, and that's his first goal for the match, and Carlton move on. Away again by Abbott. Over it goes to Hunter, back to Kernahan. They're coming into the game too late. Kernahan going for a run, having a running shot at goal. Mew upset there. The kick is on its way. We'll wait on the result. It's a goal to Carlton.
Langford and Kernahan. It was to be one of the great duels for a decade.
I mean, he's quick, he's big, he's strong, he's mobile, and he's a perfect match for me. And I don't know how many times we played on each other, but I'll be glad to see the end of him.
Hawthorn won the 86 premiership by 42 points in his first ever meeting in a grand final between the Blues and the Hawks. For Bruce Doull, it would be his 359th and final game. The introduction of State of Origin football in 1977 revived the one-sided battles between Victoria and the rest. In the 80s, South Australia beat Victoria at home 4 times. Kernahan and Blues teammate Craig Bradley were the cornerstones.
Yeah, well, back then, I guess it was all new to us, and we managed to beat Victoria a few times in a row, so the state certainly got behind it, and it was a really good period there because we strung a few wins together.
It was big for us South Australian kids who, today, again, the people find it hard to understand because there's no doubt the interstate clashes have lost some flavour with people, and that's been inevitable with the national competition. But, I mean, those days for me, that was like playing, not as big as our grand finals, but that was the games we look forward to each year to get a crack at the Victorians, the blokes we watched on TV. I mean, you know, that's why we always put up a pretty good showing most of the time, and you know, we beat them as much as they beat us. So I think they were, and some of the games I reckon you'd have to say some of the best games played throughout the 80s, I reckon.
The most memorable for many South Australians was a loss by just a kick to Victoria in 1984. Kernahan would kick 10 goals in that losing side.
Kernahan shot it, goal, bounced from.
Handball went out to Peter Moore. Here's another chance for the Vicks. Gary Wilson could walk into a goal. Mickey Mouse could kick one from there. Through it goes.
Puts it up in the air. Motley at the back of the pack. It's a magnificent mark. Oh, what a catch.
The ball. Ollie Robson couldn't take the mark. Wayne Johnson ran through half forward, but the kick is not right. It is. On the way now, it's falling short in the square. The big leap on Kernahan. Off the ground. It's He gets smashed going the wrong way. Victoria go in again. Oh, not a good kick forward. It's going to roll through, though. The umpires have a chat to each other. It's a goal. Phillips not happy. Oh, it's kick not good. Gee, I've never seen him kick that poorly. Off the ground again, Kernahan. Oh, well, if he can't mark him, he'll kick them off the ground. Dacos wants to play on. Kick number 10 for the champion Collingwood player. Lines them up, does not miss. 2 goals, Dacos.
Could be a mistake. Big Moore looking for salmon hooks round the corner. The big fella's getting back. Good bounce through goal. South Australian era heads towards the golf course end. Going for his 10th goal. Ball coming back with boot goal.
Carlton thinks I played on Dooley when I got the 10, but I only kicked a couple on Bruce. I had Purdy to start with, then Chris Mew, and then Bruce, and then Mewey, and then Purdy again at the end. So, yeah, it was a good night.
Pre-Kernahan, the biggest name from South Australia to become a superstar in Victoria had been Malcolm Blight. The Magarey medalist would win the Brownlow medal, kick 100 goals, win the Coleman medal, and then return home and kick another 100 goals and win the Farmer medal. He had the dubious distinction of playing with Kernahan Senior and Kernahan Junior at either ends of his distinguished career.
Actually, go back to a state game that I actually captained in '85, and Stephen was just a young player with that fantastic group of South Australians coming up, and he kicked a lazy 7 that day, and we had a fantastic win. And just his aura then, you know, as a kid growing up, was one of quality. And of course, all these years later, it's just proved it every year that he's played football at the Carlton Footy Club.
It was great when he came back to Adelaide at the end of his VFL career and played with Woodville and captain coached them. And I'll never forget a state game I played with him in Perth in '85, and I sat next to him on the way over. Couldn't believe his blighty. Just changed smoking all the way over. You could smoke on planes in those days, and you know, we ended up winning by record margin. And I was centre forward and he was full forward, and I got about 7 and he kicked 6, 7 or something from full forward, and I just reckon it was just a great day for me as a kid to play with a legend like him.
Of the many state games Kernahan played, the 1987 win over Victoria was probably his most forgettable. Chris Langford, his Hawthorn nemesis from his short AFL career, kept him to only 2 kicks. He was finally dragged.
The day that I mentioned before that I actually took him from the ground in the last 5 minutes of the game, it was a game against Victoria at Football Park, and it was Rudy Mandamaker or Stephen Kernahan. Rudy had played and kicked 4 goals. Stephen had played well, but he was slipping over, and I had to make a decision: do I take Stephen Kernahan off or Rudy Mandamaker off? Now, what normally would you do? There wouldn't be any choice normally, but I gambled and left Rudy on and took Stephen off, and I don't think he's ever forgiven me because of that, because it was Stephen who was taken from the ground. But fortunately, we won the game.
In 1992, he was just inspirational, kicking 6 in a memorable win at Football Park. The South Australians belted on 10 goals in a match-winning second term.
Kicked 60 goals for Carlton this season. Drop punt, goes for it and kicks it.
Greg Anderson to the centre of the ground. It's all Crows. This is Bickley. Bickley in towards Kernahan again. Oh, he was held by the arm, but he was still too good. Anderson and Bickley doing very well near the centre of the ground as we see Kernahan kick and put it through, scores a level.
Drop punt, gets a bit of distance. Kernahan with a fly. Wind well played in the front spot to get back. Obbs' handball, left foot by Maynard. Goal. South Australia in front. Magarey medalist last year. Short to Kernahan. A bit fancy on a night like tonight. Didn't really half volley it. Still Kernahan. Will he kick his 4th drop punt? Gives it a go. It's there. It's a goal. 4 to Kernahan. Russell to Bickley. To Obbs. Can South Australia rebound and make Victoria pay for it? Drop punt. Nayley goes with Harvey. Sitting and waiting. Francis should kick a Rovers goal. Round the body and does.
Carey is there also. Now Nayley to the pocket. Tony Hall, oh, was it a marking? Almost grabbed it. Scott Russell around the corner. This could be another one. Yes, it is. Wayne Carey, a vital kick this one, as he brings it in towards the square. It hits the deck. There's a goal to Obbs.
don't want to pinpoint him so far, but you'd think Anderson's got to be injured. Left foot by Wanganeen. Bickley, well played. Now maybe South Australia's Bickley kicks the Hall at centre-half forward. A brilliant mark. Now Kernahan with a chance here. The kick's right, hanging on Bays. Kernahan for his 5th goal. Goes for it and kicks it. 5 for Kernahan.
Nayley out to Tony Hall. Hall wide. Bradley. Danger here for the Vicks. Wayne Carey from directly in front. Backs it through for a goal. Brings it to the half-back line. Scott Russell. Oh, the markers dropped there. Taken by Nayley, a sweeping hand pass. Here's Maynard. Maynard, a high floating kick in towards the square. Kernahan, yes, a top mark, Stephen Kernahan. He will kick for goal number 6 from 20 metres. Stephen Kernahan has kicked 5. He is 15 metres out, directly in front, a chance to put them 9 points in front, and he does.
I mean, they're just great memories, all of those games, and you know, little things that come out when Greg Williams sent Gary McIntosh's tooth flying across the centre square at the first bounce of one of the state games, and Macca coming back at him like a pit bull, and you know, 2 real tough blokes, and the Martin Leslie, Dermot Brereton punch on behind play with, you know, both players, Dermot walking off the ground with blood all over him, and you know, and people, you know, they talk about state games and not having anything. I say to them, well, Jesus, you know, the old days, some of those games in the 80s were as hard and tough as any to play.
And how about his performance against the West Australians in 1996? 13 kicks, 14 marks and 4 goals alongside a rampant Tony Modra. No one could ever accuse Sticks of not giving his best for his state.
Bickley to Darryl Wakeland. Last chance for Modra or Kernahan. Oh, he's taken another one. Just the 14 marks.
I played under John Nichols, and John's a hero of mine and a magnificent player and captain of Carlton. Now I only coached Steve Kernahan for a couple of years when he was captain. 8 years later he's still captain, and I'd have to rank Steve Kernahan with John Nichols, both of them great captains.
In 1987, Walls appointed Kernahan captain to replace Mark McClure. It was to be one of the most telling moves in the history of the Carlton Football Club. For the 2nd year in a row, the Blues would open the season with a loss to Hawthorn. The grand final of 86 revisited.
Don't stall! What a great mark!
On May 27, Sticks returned to Football Park in Adelaide for the annual State of Origin match against Victoria. Guess who was waiting? Yep, Chris Langford. And this time the Hawthorn champ would win the E.J. Whitten medal, keeping Kernahan goalless. He held him to 2 kicks. Kernahan did have the pleasure of seeing his team win by 4 points under coach Graham Corns. Carlton and Hawthorn would vie for top spot in 1987. In round 20 against Geelong, Kernahan booted 8. It put the Blues a game clear on top of the ladder.
And Kernahan, either one, the man in front has got it. And the usual result. Stephen Kernahan kicks his 7th goal.
A lucky bounce for him. Oh, it's not the distance. Kernahan with another big kick, please. It's... Oh, I don't believe it.
The finals were straight sets. The second semi-final saw Carlton beat Hawthorn by 15 points. Grand final day, 1987.
Well, it was a stinking hot day. I'll never forget it. It was 33 or something with a howling northerly. Beautiful day for footy in Melbourne, and we were under a bit of pressure. We felt confident we could knock them off. We'd beaten them in the second semi, but I think the stigma, I mean, clubs will tell you, once you lose one, it's and you've got to prove yourself. On the grand final day, anything can happen. So, you know, we had a bit to prove, and obviously having that weak sled off and the fresher legs than Hawthorn had 3 hard finals always stood us in good stead, especially when the weather was that hot. But yeah, I still remember it.
The key move would be the decision to play David Rhys-Jones on Hawthorn's potential match winner, Dermot Brereton. The 2 bad boys of the game, Rhys-Jones, who'd be reported 25 times in his league career, against the kid, who'd answer 17 charges. The Norm Smith medal in 1987 would go to the hyphen. He'd keep Brereton goalless.
It was Wolsey's brainchild, I think. He argued long and hard that he wanted Reece to take him for the grand final. And, you know, history says he went and won the Norm Smith, and Brereton was obviously a match winner for him, and you know, that went a big way to us winning.
And the Carlton player just gave away a silly free kick.
Just backward of centre, he drives it along towards half forward, uncontested. Brereton dropped the mark. He's been quiet this afternoon. Reece Jones crashes his way through.
He had that white line fever and that streak in him, but off the field, you know, what a great bloke, as everyone who's had a few beers with him would attest to.
Morris has done his knee again. There's Kernahan. Can he grab it? The Carlton captain picks it up. Goals!
I think luck's a fortune in that case. There's no doubt in my mind that it was a free kick to Dermot Brereton. It was allowed to be called play on. Mew on replay couldn't quite take it. Naylor lost possession. Hunter brings out the ball, hooks it across. An awkward bounce for Kernahan, and he just kicks it in fresh air, and through it goes. Great goal, Stephen Kernahan.
But he just gets his boot to it. Russell Green. Oh, good play, Meldrum. Too good. Beautifully done. Hooks it back magnificently to Kernahan, and that was top play by Paul Meldrum.
Yes, excellent play. And it shouldn't have been hand pass to Platten. It put Platten under pressure, and out of that pressure, it resulted in Meldrum doing superb football to get it across to Stephen Kernahan.
Steve Kernahan has had a quiet day, 6 kicks, and a big task for Stephen Kernahan today. There's always a lot of pressure on the big name players in particular. He's got a kick from about 48 metres here with the drop punt. He is a beautiful kick for goal normally. There's a long floating drop punt. It is close. It is a goal.
3 goals ahead at the last change, Carlton would kick away in the final quarter to win by 33 points. Kernahan, 3 goals in his head-on with Langford, who was voted Hawthorn's best player.
Yes, goal! Oh, they're really running hot at the moment. They can do no wrong, and that was set up by a burst through the centre by Wayne Johnston. He did not take the ball with him, but he forced it forward. There it comes now. Wayne Johnson got it out. Kernahan took possession, and Chris Langford has done a superb job, and yet Stephen Kernahan has still kicked 3 goals.
Kennedy opposed to Green. Green did it brilliantly. There's the siren. Robert Walls is elated. With him is Wes Lofts. And Carlton are premiers for 1987.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the skipper of the Mighty Blues, number 4, Stephen Kernahan.
It was just great to see him get the honour. I personally didn't feel anything personally as though I'd had a part to play in it. It was just great to see Stephen achieve his goal, because if you've played with him or coached him or worked with him, you'd understand what a great guy is, and you like to see great guys do well.
The one thing about Stephen is the absolute loyalty he's got to the clubs he's played for, and you know, he could never have played for another club in South Australia other than Glenelg, and I'm sure he could never have played for another club in the AFL other than Carlton. The guy is tremendously loyal, and just to see him up there holding up the Premiership Cup was fantastic.
There's the first man to take a drink out of the cup. Steve Kernahan, the Carlton captain and champion, and well, I think he'll be out there many, many more times in the future, Bob, leading the Blues.
I'll never forget Wolsey. We had a meeting, I don't know what time of the year it was, after 87, and because of the young players we drafted, and well, not drafted, in those days recruited, you know, we were sort of setting the plans down. Why can't we, with the side we've got, the mix of the older guys mixed in with us new blokes who'd played 1 and 2 years of good footy now? Why couldn't we keep winning premierships? And we'd really sat down and thought, well, look, here's a chance to take it by the throat and keep going. But it just shows you, even back in the 80s as well as now, how hard it is to win back-to-back.
It would be 6 years before Carlton would be a significant player on that last Saturday in September. Ironically, we got a feel of what was to come in round 2 of 1993. Essendon and Carlton in front of 49,000 at the MCG.
Williams leads in the race. Brown, the shepherd. Williams has got a little bit of space. Turns and kicks it wide for Gleeson. Gleeson's first real touch. Short pass, Kernahan, they're good mates. And by gee, didn't that show up? Kernahan's mark for 55 metres from goal. Short pass, looking for Dorotich. Good mark.
That was interesting because Kernahan spotted Dorotich on the first lead.
As Kickett, who started on the interchange bench, now takes the place of young Fletcher, who's done pretty well in the opening 20 minutes. Dorotich, kick, short, no, it goes over the top of the players' heads and it's a goal.
Hold them at half forward. Bradley sneaks away. Now they turn defence into attack and Kernahan marks 45 out directly in front. Steve Kernahan's enjoying it. 49 metres, bang, straight through the middle.
In turn to Williams. Combination there, quite spectacular. Williams kick, very good. Gee, that was brilliant football, wasn't it? Bradley and Williams. Oh, yeah. His opponent for most of the afternoon. But if he kicks this, which he has, he's done a good job.
60 metres out. He's taking on Alessio. Swings round onto the left foot. In towards half forward. And Kernahan takes the mark.
This is an absolutely ball burster of a game.
Something else. Well, this kick to level the scores here at the G. And he rarely misses these. And he doesn't miss on this occasion. Scores are level.
Blues are a chance now. Sexton's kick into the pocket. Kernahan!
Oh, he's marked it.
From behind in a passage of 4 players. He's pulled down a screamer. Oh, the captain. The siren has sounded. So this kick, he only has to score
to win.
And Mark Thompson calling all the Essendon players back onto the full back line.
Well, what a scene here at the MCG. The ball with the Carlton captain, and he has to score to win the game for the Blues. And he misses. It's out of bounds. It's a draw. Oh, no!
I'm still not in the mood to cop any steering about it, so, it's going to be a hard week for me. I take things pretty personally, and, to work so hard to get there and to muck it up at the end is pretty disappointing.
After pulling in a great mark and squaring up the scores, Kernahan knew if the ball came forward one more time, he would be the man to get it.
I said if we gets down here, I'm going to take it. I reckon I've a good chance to take it. But I flew and just ran for it and got there and somehow fell in my hands. And I should have kicked the ball as I was running the first time. The siren went halfway, and then I went back and had to start again. And I don't know, I just dropped it sideways, I suppose, the way it went.
Did you know straight off the boot?
Oh, pretty well. It went straight right. It was like a slice of golf.
And then in the finish, for Sticks only to have to score for us to win. I don't think I've ever seen desolation on a person's face.
1 week later, of all teams, Hawthorn.
Kernahan, one-hander. Oh, clever mark by Kernahan. But I don't like his angle to goal from there. 3 best and fairest, captain for 6 years, leading goal kicker for 7 years. Difficult shot into the breeze from that side of the ground. It's all right. 1 kick the difference. Scholl breaks a tackle. Another goal just before the siren would be handy for the Blues. Kernahan. Oh, fantastic mark.
Well, his second one-hander, Drew.
Oh, what will Steve Kernahan do here?
Same as last week.
Will he put it through the middle of the captain?
Last week he missed everything. A straight kick here would put them within 6 points. He's got it.
Medical staff have been having a look at Andrew Gowers too. He's been moved to the wing. He played a great game at centre half back all day, so I don't think he's 100% fit.
Well, here's Greg Deere. Beaten foot by Dorotich. Great mark. Dorotich from 50. Bombs it in long. It starts to swing back. Is that a free kick? No free kick to Langford. He can't believe it. Kernahan's kick and Kernahan's goal. Madden won it. Hogg, the long bomb, in towards half forward. Oh, magnificent mark by the captain, Stephen Kernahan.
Gee, Peter, almost the same situation as last week, this one, to put Carlton in front.
Steve Kernahan kicks for goal, and he slammed it through, and the Blues hit the front.
It just seemed to keep happening, but you know, I just went back this time. I took the mark, and I thought I'll just get back quick and kick it as quickly as possible, not to give the siren a chance to go. So it worked out all right.
I received in that week the best letter I've ever received from a 30-year-old female who sensed and felt the things which Sticks had gone through in the previous week, and within 7 days has had the chance to so-called redeem himself. So from the captain's point of view, it was a wonderful thing. I just think for Sticks, for it to work out that way.
The fickleness of footy, but after 22 matches that season, only a small matter of a percentage point separated Carlton and Essendon on the ladder. The Bombers on top with Carlton second after one of the most even seasons ever. For the first time, a night final would be played. It would feature the two great draw cards, Essendon and Carlton, and 80,000 fans were on hand that Saturday night at the MCG. They saw Kernahan at his brilliant best, with a 4-goal opening quarter that all but killed the Bombers stone dead.
Oh, he started well. Watson couldn't take the mark. Justin Madden has had a few touches. His kick into the centre of the ground. Williams beaten for it. Kicked off the ground by Heaver. Taken now by Spalding. His kick to full forward. And there's the man that if Carlton are going to win, Ross, he's going to be the difference. And his third. He's kicking from 35 metres. It bends back. It bends all the way back. He's kicked three.
Almost thrown out to Williams by Bradley, but allowed to go on. This gives Hannah a bit of space. Hills gives chase, but he gets it away to the running Heaver. Brent Heaver, 70 metres out, stabs into Kernahan. Kernahan has booted three. Gee, that's a fair kick. Now he's booted four, and that's their score. Well, he contests, trying to flick it up the back. Brent Heaver looks pretty good.
Even with Kernahan gathering 13 kicks, taking 10 marks and shooting out 7 hand passes, plus the half-dozen goals, the Blues won by the merest of 2 points. There was plenty of work to be done yet.
Kernahan, he's got it. Got rid of Anthony Danaher and took the mark. He's going to kick to the goal square. It's allowed, and the mark is taken by Powell. And he just has to kick this goal. He kicks, and he's kicked his second. Got the football, got clear, sweeping hand pass out into the path of Gleeson. Still a chance for the Blues. Heaver got it to Spalding somehow. Spalding from 50 metres. Kicks to the goal front. Kernahan's got it again. He's playing a lone hand for the Blues up at full forward.
He can submit himself to knock the ball out to Spalding.
Well, what a great performance by Kernahan.
Essendon had about 5 players out that night. We only knocked them off by 2 points. And we weren't fooled into thinking that, we weren't saying, well, we've got Essendon's measure, because we thought, well, that was a game we should have won.
The Blues beat Adelaide in the second semi-final. Bradley with 5 and Kernahan with 3 equalled Adelaide's tally of 8 goals between them. The Crows kicking under the relentless pressure of the famed Carlton defence, producing only 8 goals from 28 scoring shots.
6 for the game. Kernahan, 40 metres out, has goal. Comes inboard, it sits up for Jarman. He taps it, finessing, and it goes straight to Bradley. A bouncing ball. Williams has been pretty quiet. His left footer. Oh, Madden is 30 metres in the clear. Wren giving chase. Ooh. What a sprint. This is something to watch. Madden goes long for goal. He might have kicked it. Whoa. Sensational. I have never seen the like of it.
High floating kick towards half forward. Welsh is there with Rashudo. Welsh does well. Heaver, got a shepherd and a half. Down went Visca. It was Spalding who did the shepherding. Out came a defender there in lead. Tried to give it to Jarman. Back it comes to Hogg. Visca looking to atone. Brown finds Kernahan. Great football. Carlton are making their move. Here's Kernahan. Well, not quite so quick for those who had stopwatches. Kernahan kicks and kicks cruelly.
How Adelaide would have loved to have had Kernahan that day, the hometown kid for them rather than against them. Would he have made the difference?
Kernahan should have got it free. He's taken the mark in any case. What can the champ do? Kicks and kicks cruelly.
It's so hard to say that. He would have been fantastic for us, and anything could have happened. Anything with a class centre-half forward or another tall player, a class tall player in our forward lines, things would have been easier. But to try and predict what might have been is difficult. I was always disappointed. In as much that Stephen would have found it difficult to leave Carlton, but I always felt that Adelaide made it too easy for him to say, no, I'm staying at Carlton. I think we should have been there putting a lot more pressure on him on a day-to-day basis to say, Stephen, Adelaide is home. Now, from our point of view, that's selfish, of course. And looking back now, it's probably the best thing he's done to stay at Carlton.
Grand final day, Essendon and Carlton.
Gathered by Gleeson, but Wanganeen nearly took it with him. Brown kicked the full forward. Kernahan's got it. No mark. Play on. Elvin can't get past. Well scragged. Kernahan snapshot. Kernahan! Carlton's first goal.
I still look back at that and look, I think we met a very hot side that day. I really went in there as confident as I've ever been. I mean, the other previous grand finals and other days I felt a lot, not as confident as I did that day. I thought we could really beat Essendon.
The scorebooks will show Carlton trailed all day and were never really in the game. They will show that Kernahan was simply brilliant.
Marks on 50. This could bring them even closer. Steve Kernahan from just on 50 metres. He's got it. He's got it.
Essendon were 5-8 at quarter time, so they've kicked 5 goals, 1 in this second quarter, and the Blues have kicked just 2 goals. Brown looks for Williams and gets him. Good tackle by Salmon. Ball spills now for Heaver. Handball ordinary. Puts big Justin Madden under pressure. Heaver's got a chance. He finds some space. He gets past. He's running near the centre of the ground, and he goes into the pocket. Looks for Welsh. Wallace up high. Kicked by Kernahan.
It's going to go through. It's bounced through. Yes, and counting down. Up towards the centre of the ground. Sexton was the fly. Gleeson may try and thread his way through. He does so. Well done, Adrian Gleeson, off to Silvani. Forced to use the left foot in search of Kernahan and finds him. Kernahan, another vital kick inside the last minute of the first half. A long drop punt. This is going to be very close. He's kicked it.
Oh, what a great kick. And out wide is Scholl. Can carry the ball. And runs past his opponent there, which was Thompson, into centre-half forward. Kernahan's marked. Plenty of avenues there. Kernahan goes for goal. Long kick right to the line. It might have gone through. It has.
They pounce upon him as the ball spills free towards Bradley. Desperately, he tries to get through. He does, to the running Albin. Albin off to Kernahan. Kernahan, don't tell me he's going to kick another one. Here's their sole man up forward. 6 to Sticks.
And the difference, 42 points in favour of the Bombers. The bounce, Salmon gets it away. Through comes Scholl, he can't control it. Yes, he can, he gets it to Alvin. The Blues surge forward. Kernahan's got it again. Just biting at Essendon's ankles. Kernahan goes for goal. It's holding up. He's got it there, it's another goal.
Kernahan with 7 goals, easily Carlton's best.
You know, I mean, it was okay to get a few kicks and that, and it's a game I've never ever watched on video. I've never seen the game, and I guess one day when footy's finished, I might have a look at it one day. It doesn't mean that much to me today. I don't look back on it and say, what a great day. You know, we got flogged by, I look at it, we got flogged by 7 goals, and it really does overshadow whatever you do in my book.
I think he's got a real determination to do well, and I just think he's a great player because even though he's a big guy, he's always played in front. He's always stood up tall, never taken his eye off the ball, and has taken a lot over a period of time. And I think back to the number of good games he played for Carlton, but I think that '93 grand final game in which Carlton were soundly beaten by Essendon, his effort on that day, I think, ranks with the Breretons and the Abletts as some of the greatest individual efforts in a grand final, and albeit it was in a losing one.
The 44-point loss was shattering to Carlton, but in the background moves were afoot to lure Kernahan back to Adelaide to join forces with old teammates McDermott and McGuinness.
I think Stephen came out of contract with Carlton, and Chris and I were off the record, if I can call it that, employed by the club to go to Melbourne and try and get him. And we were playing finals at that time, and Brownlow medal and grand final, all that type of thing. So Chris and I were actually in Melbourne about 6 times in 2 or 3 week period, and there was always an ulterior motive to those trips, and that is to try and get Kernahan to come back to Adelaide to play with the Crows. A, because the side would have loved to have had him, but B, because we both would have loved to have played footy with him again. But, he sort of dragged us along and just sort of dangled the carrot there in front of us and made us sit up until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning drinking Crown Lagers with him in an attempt to try and lure him. But, at the end of the day, it was just a foregone conclusion. He's Carlton through and through and was never going to come back.
The '95 season was something special. From the very first match against Collingwood, game number 200 for the skipper. In the early games, he was in amazing touch. 17 goals in successive matches, 10 against Footscray at the MCG. 7 more against the Bears, 3 Brownlow medal votes each week. With Kernahan in top form, so were the Blues. 7 straight wins to open the year. Big crowds were flocking to see the Blues. 84,000 for the game against Richmond on round 14. Sticks with 6 goals. The Blues, 12 wins, 2 losses. Stephen Kernahan played 14 of the 22 matches Carlton played in 1995. He missed 8 with injuries.
Long maybe, or it doesn't seem to be as long as the other big grounds. Kernahan kicks for goal and puts it through.
Yeah, he makes it difficult sometimes for the medical staff. He likes to be out there all the time, and if he's got something wrong with him, he wouldn't tell anyone. And when we always did the medical report at match committee every Tuesday night, he'd come in after the medical report. He wouldn't like to be there when that was being discussed. He certainly didn't like to be there when players were delisted at the end of the year. He thought that he didn't want to be part of that.
And spare a thought for the office staff too. Sharon McColl.
I don't think he's received anything for a while. He used to get the roses and the stuffed toys and things like that, but I think he's getting too old for it now. Cooter and Ange have taken over.
Carlton were unbackable for the flag. In the qualifying final they met Brisbane, the Bears playing in their first ever final. Parkin against the Blues' former premiership coach, Robert Walls.
He's got it.
Kernahan, 5 goals. The preliminary final was played under lights at the MCG. The Blues again unstoppable.
Final series. Kernan to Scott. Intercept by Matt. Big Harry. Well done. Long kick to Kernahan. They double team him. Pearce at the front. This has worked all year. The hand pass to Williams. The kick bouncing. Pepe lets it go for a goal.
That's something Mickey Martin doesn't do too often, does he? They come out smoking, out to half-back.
Free ball off for Mark Roberts.
North hanging on, Scholl couldn't get a kick away. Carlton surging here, playing like a rugby league team. Madden's kicking to the centre. Here's a chance. If it sits, he'll kick it. Christou from 45. Let's fly. It's home. It's a goal.
Back to Rice. Up to Hannah. 46 metres from goal. Pearce is there. Outnumbered 2-1. At the back, Manton! Goal!
And then the big one. Carlton and Geelong. And 2 of the game's greatest forwards. The godlike Gary Ablett at one end, Kernahan at the other.
Barnes
Flying from behind. Hannah is there to tidy up for Carlton. He's got time to have a look down to the Kernahan area again. Again, he almost gives a nudge. Williams is there. Well done. Kernahan off the ground. Carlton are away again. It's long towards centre wing. Barnes was in front, but it's fisted clear. Kudafini's waiting down in front. Gives it to Christou, who pumps it long and high. To Kernahan again. 1-2 Bradleys to Sticks.
If you're going to play from behind Stephen Kernahan all day, there will be a time that he'll outmark you. Because he does jump honestly. Ben Graham doesn't do a lot wrong, can't get at it, and he just got off the ground enough, and he will take marks. He's a great player.
Kernahan for his second. It looks good. Carlton love it.
9 possessions, Brownie.
Hanley again in front, Spalding at the back. Ratton hurriedly, Rice chases. Almost gave away a free kick to Mansfield for holding. Kernahan plays on. He bends it back to Sticks and he's got his third.
Well, Kernahan by himself, he's there for half an hour.
Williams goes back now from 55. He's still there anyway. 10 metres in the clear.
Tragedy for Peter Riccardi, but great play from Peter Dean.
He's kicked 3 in the first half, 2 of those in the second quarter. There's another one to the Blues. And they go again. Spalding pops it over the top. They've got the numbers everywhere. Williams again. Stepped one into full forward. Kernahan will shoot for number 5. Williams already has 5, and he's given a few away.
Great play here, great pressure again from the Carlton players, great sharing of the footy, and Williams already got 5, but still thinks team and gives it to the skipper.
And he now has joined him with 5 goals.
23 out of 25, I think, you know, most clubs will realise that that's probably going to be pretty hard to beat again. And yeah, look, to win your last 2 finals, the preliminary final by 10 and the grand final by 10, I don't think you can do much more than that. And you know, to have, you know, the blokes that played that year, to be so focused. I've never had a year like it where everything you said you'd do, we went and did. And, you know, I don't think they come along every once in a while. I've got to feel lucky to be, you know, been a part of it. Premierships, you know, 85 at Glenelg with my old mates were very special because I'd worked hard. I've lost a lot of finals and we won one. 87, you don't think after being here 2 years and being made captain in 1 year that you'll be holding the Premiership Cup up in September. I'd laugh you down if I had thought that would happen. But I think 95, not only because it's closer, but it was pretty special because we've been written off for years and years. We're too old and too slow. And I think that meant a lot to us at the end. You might be standing up there at the end of the day and say, well, here it is, boys. You said we couldn't do it, up your arse. You know, that sort of thing.
Australian Football Video presents the video collection no True Blue footy fan would be without. Every great and glorious grand final victory since 1961 captured for your viewing pleasure in the WEG Grand Final Commemorative Video Series. Unique WEG Premiership covers, the blood, sweat and cheers of champions inside every one. Collect your own gift price slice of football history at one of these stores now.